I'm working on a theme song. Chill.
Well, guys, this is what a movie review from Von Fry will look like for the foreseeable future. I tried doing the spoiler-free stuff. Oh no, we can't have competence on the YouTube or anywhere doing video on the internet. So this is what you asked for. This is what works, and this is what you're getting. Warning here, I'm going to be talking about Total Recall, the 2012 version. And you're probably going to see a guy go batshit crazy and talk out of his ass. So yeah, there's going to be spoilers. This movie's from Len Wiseman, so he had to put his wife Kate Beckinsale in here. And for the uninitiated, there was a 1990 film called Total Recall, starring Arnold Schwarzenegger. At the time, this was the biggest movie star. Yeah, the first movie, it had everything this movie doesn't. This movie, Total Recall 2012, is a blueprint for everything wrong with the movie industry. Everything. The story, you could sum it up like this. No mutants, no Mars, no soul. This guy has this dream that him and Jessica Biel, if that's her name, she can't act, she plays herself. To Colin Farrell, who is sort of himself, or a normal guy, whatever, he's Quaid this time around, not Arnold Schwarzenegger, who was in the time of his peak years. This was, for Arnold, this was the closest he was to being an everyman. So that was kind of interesting in that regard even, but yeah, so there's no Mars, there's a colony, and that would be Australia. They're called the Colony. I guess there's a chemical warfare broke out, and the only two inhabitable places is like the British Federation and the Colony. Alright? Everybody in Australia does not sound like they're from Australia. Freaking half the people in England don't sound like they're from England. Like at one point, Kate Beckinsale. I'm jumping the gun here. Quaid, he has this dream that he's with Jessica Biel, and he's like, oh yeah, you know what? That something's weird about that. I want to go down to Recall and relive this memory and all this. And on his way over there, he runs into the chick with the 3 boobs. Because we had to put that in because that's in the first movie. But you know what's in the first movie is mutants. And you know what's not in this movie? Mutants. So what's the explanation there? Were those implants? Is this what implants in 2084 look like? I'm going with 2084 because I don't recall seeing that on screen, but it's in the freaking Chrysler commercial. So he runs into 3-boobed girl, and she's like, yay, I'm here for the fan service. This is rated PG-13 for guns being fired at people and almost not hitting anybody. 1 headshot, 3 boobs, which are all prosthetic, 100%, none of that's real, and they call that brief nudity. So, we were exposed to plastic without skin. That's what we got exposed to. He goes down there, he talks to Harold, who's like, yeah, man, this is going to mess you up. Hey, you want to be the secret agent? Now, here's a little bit of a twist here. He's not showing him, like, the profiles of who his contact's going to be, like in the original film, and you're like, oh, hey, she looks familiar. So you're kind of left with, is this going to be less open-ended than the original film? Which it is, and less cerebral in every sense. He messes with him a little bit, injects him, and then, oh no, agents are jumping in, we gotta take this guy down, like, big time. And he breaks off, heads back to the house, which is dimly lit. And though, if I'm a homeowner, which I'll probably never be at the rate I make money, thanks Obama, there will probably be similar lighting in my place of residency, with the poured concrete walls and dangerous sharp objects that look really cool in a movie. But if you're married, your house isn't going to look like that. So yeah, that's not entirely realistic. By the way, part of why I decided to knuckle up and actually watch this movie when I had a sneak peek, hold on a sec, I'm gonna go show you a little something I got from the theater. Yeah, check it out, I finally caught a t-shirt. It's extra large, so give me a second to put this on. Okay, back to what we're going after here. Kate Beckinsale's like, oh no, I'm actually a cop, and I'm playing the Sharon Stone role here, and I gotta kick your ass now, and we're gonna have a lot of fancy pants fighting that they didn't have back in 1990, because Jackie Chan didn't come over here yet. So, they go to brawl this out. He escapes. Quaid does, Colin Farrell. I can't really remember the names of the characters in this movie for whatever reason, but Kate Beckinsale, she's Lori, right? She then goes and gets the cops together, and they're like, yeah, so he escaped. They triggered his memory and all this, blah, blah, whatever. And shoot to kill him on sight, you know, don't ask questions, and except, so the orders are shoot on sight, except they're not, because then we have standoffs when the guy's better off dead, according to her, and then she defied orders, but he gets this thing in his hand, which in the previous movie we had a nose tracking bug he had to pull out, and it was like a fake Arnold head, but most people didn't really think that. They're like, oh hey, that looks really gross, like intrigued in some way. So, fake hand here, and he calls and gets some orders. Hey, you got to meet up and get this stuff, and we need you to come join us with the resistance. I guess the people in the colony, they're tired of the British Federation bossing them around, and the British Federation guy, Cohagen, right? So this is Bryan Cranston this time around, instead of the guy who I guess you could say was the bad guy of RoboCop. Instead of him, and also another thing here, the Michael Ironside character completely dissolved and was channeled into the Sharon Stone character to make Kate Beckinsale. So she's the pursuit person, all the way through, and she's going after him. He gets some of this stuff together, but he also seemingly runs into Jessica Biel, who is like, "Hey, I'm here to rescue you," and okay, but one thing before that was part of the problem here is when you get rid of Mars, there's no majestic, earned peak anywhere. Like, there's two places. There's the colony and the British Federation. And from the beginning, we have a guy who's living at the colony and working, I think, at the British Federation, building the synthetic police robots. So when they go to and from these places, it's like, big whoop. Like, we were there earlier. I'm not that impressed. So the scene where he's like getting to Mars in the original, there's this woman that Arnold dresses up as, and like the voice modulation thing goes wrong, and it's like, oh, you know, shoot me, this is fake, and he like the mask starts freaking out, and he like picks it up and throws it. So we have a woman that looks like that in this scene. And some people in the crowd, the older ones, they're like, oh, that's so funny. The only jokes in this entire film are throwbacks to the previous movie. And that's 3 boobs and old lady. That's what you get. There's your fan service, guys. So, yeah, after that, and by the way, he doesn't run through the x-ray machine. That x-ray thing in the first movie is more intriguing. Like, as simple as it is, there's more insight to that and the security breach and all this stuff than there is to this entire movie. It just doesn't slow down and give you any time to look at anything. So, okay, now the production design looks good. Art direction, these things that we can't really have time to appreciate look fine, I guess. The weird thing here is that the makeup, there's this show called Face Off on Sci-Fi. It's okay. I've been watching it. And the contestant who won the first time around, he got to work on this movie, along with one of the judges on the show. And he's working on this because he's attached to all the underworld stuff, like Kate Beckinsale and Lynn Wiseman, so he's their guy. The cars, they're a little Blade Runner-ish. The sets are very Blade Runner-ish. I didn't see much in the way of English written anywhere. It's like all Chinese and things, like in Blade Runner. I guess when the economy gets bad enough, everybody turns Chinese. So he runs off with Jessica Biel, and they have this magnetic lift thing, this maglev car deal, right? They're going along in this, and they're on the top, and they're skimming across surface. You're thinking, okay, flying cars. Then when they flip under, and they're hanging underneath, in a sense, they call it like the suspended road. So that way you can build one road, and it actually functions two. I guess that's fine, but it seems like the technology put in the cars to make them work this way is more complicated than needing to build a road. And they have flying stuff also. But I don't know about you guys, but I would kick Jessica Biel out of a maglev car if I was already with Kate Beckinsale. You know, age difference be damned. And as they're fighting, they don't even have the same thing going on in the original film. Like there's no puns like consider that divorce. They have too many elevator moments. Like, oh, we got to get on top of this elevator. There's elevators all over the effing place, man. And then one of the robots gets its arm cut off, and you're thinking, see you at the party, Richter, right? And that doesn't happen because there's no Richter. So, bottom line, the movie's moving along, not making much sense. They escape, they get caught, they escape. They send in his buddy to pretend that he's with them at recall, and oh, I want you to shoot Jessica Biel. That'll wake you up. In your dreams, when you shoot someone else, that wakes you up. That's not how mine work. That, of course, doesn't go as planned. They run away. There's a lot of running away. The movie doesn't catch its breath, and there's no way to relate to the people in the colony because the only ones we met were assholes. And in the first film, he runs across these prostitutes. There's like a little one. There's a mutant girl. The mutant stuff really helps make the movie because you understand that those are the people he's fighting for. And the resistance, they're the mutants and all this. Oh, you betrayed your own kind of stuff. That doesn't happen here. So you don't understand what they're fighting for. And the bad guy's master plan is to just send in a lot of robots to kill the humans in the colony. I don't understand why that's like deserving of a movie or anything. Like they send all the robots in through what they call the fall. And I haven't even touched on this freaking subject yet, but apparently in this future, where the air quality doesn't seem that bad, the only way to get from the British Federation to the colony, Australia, is through going through the fall. A freaking tunnel through the center of the earth. And it has how many? Like trains? Like it seems as though only one of them goes at a time. So are there really enough workers taking the shuttle over there to work? And how fast does this go? It seems like this should take a long time. And you don't like compress in there? It's so stupid. Like you can't think of this as science fiction. It's just fantasy. I didn't see a lot in the way of science. There are a few cool things that you get all from the commercials. As we progress, the Senator Representative Cohagen, he comes out, he's like, hey, I have to fight you, and all this nonsense, and because, yeah, if you're the senator, you don't have bodyguards rough people up for you. I mean, he gets down and dirty himself, but he does have a bulletproof vest on, so safety first, right? Of course, he gets killed by Colin Farrell, and Jessica Biel's still alive and all this junk. And they get hurt or something happens here. He blows up the fall, and everybody's all joyous. Yay, he saved the day. There should be a lot of these things. Like, you can't operate effectively with just one thing going across like this. And why? Like, do planes not exist in this future? It's easier to go through the center of the earth than it is to build a plane that can fly from England to Australia. After that, our buddy's been hit on the head. He's kind of coming to some. He sees Jessica Biel, and she's like, yay, we did it. And he's like, oh, okay. And they have this scar. They each share a scar because they got shot in the hand, and he dropped her. And this all happened in the past. And he's like, no, you don't have a scar. I have to rough you up. So then they start fighting, and she had this bracelet on that changes your face. You see it some in the trailer and everything. And she had that, so it's actually Kate Beckinsale. She was still alive. He roughs her up some, shoots her. She falls out of the back of the van. And that be done with it. Jessica Biel then gets out of her medic van. I mean, usually when people get loaded up and put into the an ambulance, they get to the freaking hospital. Instead, they're just sitting there. She comes around, she sees Kate Beckinsale on the ground, she's like, oh my god, that's not the biggest thing that happened to you today. Like, oh, we're blowing up the fall. Buildings are falling left and right. We've got elevators crashing. We've been hopping around all over the place. Killed a shitload of guys. Oh my god, you killed Kate Beckinsale. We then look around some more. So we want some big time clarity here. We want to clarify everything. We want to make sure we have a solid conclusion. Yeah, everything did actually happen. He didn't hallucinate any extra. There's no send-off like in the original film. There's this thing about Mars, and he ends up saving Mars by bringing an atmosphere to it. And in the process, there's this kiss at the end, I think, and then all of a sudden there's this light, and it just, the whole screen lights up white. And the director, Verhoeven, he said that in the commentary track here, that it was supposed to be like they pulled the plug on him, or he got his lobotomy, actually, like none of this actually ever happened. In this movie, it's nothing like that. It's like, yep, he was an agent the whole time, and he saved the day by giving the colony freedom. If the colony has these guerrilla terrorist guys, and they want to stop the invasion, couldn't they just blow up the fall? Yeah, there's nothing about this movie that says, go see it. Everything's like this. It's like, you know, if we add some simulated lens flare and jiggle the camera around some, and yeah, we can get away with redoing things because it's fresh, it's hip. Did Arnold Schwarzenegger ever star in a remake? I don't think so. So if, now last summer, Colin Farrell, our buddy here, hero, protagonist, he was in a remake. Yeah, and it sucked too. I think maybe we should define real actors as the ones that man up and don't do remakes. How about that? Or is that maybe a little too controversial? Yeah, don't go see Total Recall. Next movie I might catch, I don't know. I guess probably be The Expendables 2. It looks to me like it's going to have the promise of the original, but actually deliver on it this time. So like you got all the boys, they're ready to do business, and they're actually going to be fighting together, and hopefully, because this time it's by the director of Con Air, somebody who can make it was probably the last good action movie in the traditional sense, lots of shooting and whatever, excitement. That's probably going to be the next movie I watch. Not looking forward to anything, to be honest with you. You can't review anything these days and really get any esteem for it. I mean, heck, to be like a movie critic over on the Rotten Tomatoes, you have to be writing for a newspaper. What do the newspapers do? They're getting like pretty much kickbacks from the movie industry because, yeah, all the newspapers are owned by the TV channels and the movie studios. So, surprise. They're going to say good stuff. They have to say good stuff more often than not. It's such a mess. There you go. Total Recall.